Ever hear of shit-stained McGee? Funny to you, but not to me. Learn that nothing is as it seems. Fear the legend of shit-stained McGee. That's how the silly rhyme goes. Well, not so silly if you know the truth. To know the truth, however, I'll have to take you back a bit. The question is, who was Shit-Stained McGee? Thomas Gurgy McGee was an odd child. He wore a pink pinstripe suit all the time, even from a young age. The first time he ever wore that suit was when he was 6. He wore that damn thing even when he showered. People who knew him said he thought it gave him an extra stylish edge over his peers. Needless to say, with that kind of fashion sense and nonsensical idea of wardrobe superiority, he was not the most popular kid in school. Bullying against wee little McGee was a common theme in his life. The other kids would call him names. They'd call him Pinky McGee, Stinky McGee, Pee-Pee McGee, Slinky McGee, and mostly those. You know how bad those little bastards in grade school can get. They even made him eat a bowl of chocolate covered in boogers. All this torment against poor Thomas McGee was only the beginning. And there was one instance that will live in infamy. Thomas had just turned 18 and he was attending his senior year of high school. He met a blue-eyed brunette girl named Cassandra, who he thought was the prettiest girl he'd ever met. Cassandra was the only girl in school who ever looked past McGee's eccentricities to see the once kindred soul beneath. For her, no pink pinstripe suit would have been thick enough to cover that up. McGee was also glad that someone wasn't calling him Stinky Pee-Pee McGee. They were in love. And for once in McGee's short life, he felt he wasn't alone. Unfortunately, there was someone else who saw the delicate beauty of Cassandra. It was the football-playing quarterback, Bradley Big Dome II, that had fostered this burning lust for McGee's girl. For this reason, Bradley despised Thomas McGee with a passion. Also, McGee was known to take his pants all the way down when he relieved himself in the urinals. One day, Bradley came strolling into the restroom and caught a great look at the naked McGee. Forever, the image of McGee's winky and sour grapes were engraved in his mind, and he could not find peace. Combined with his desire to smash the lovely young lady, this created an animosity in him that could only be subdued by McGee's downfall. And what a downfall it would be. It was prom day, and the two lovers could not be more excited. Jealous Bradley, on the other hand, had hatched a plan. He knew McGee had a weak stomach that could not tolerate even the slightest bit of spice. So the football player had switched out his almond butter sandwich with a jalapeno butter sandwich. And that wasn't enough for the prick. He went into the locker room and switched out McGee's favorite shampoo with jalapeno juice. And Bradley laughed like a maniac, knowing that he had doomed the poor soul. Lunchtime had begun, and it was time for McGee to have his sandwich. The moment he swallowed that god-forsaken sandwich, he almost shit his britches. He ran around screaming for almost the entire lunch period. And next was gym class. But he was in for quite a rude awakening. During the showers, he went to put on his coconut-scented shampoo, only to be doused with jalapeno juice. He squirmed and kicked and wondered why this was happening to him. All of this jalapeno mayhem finally sent him flying into the bathroom to eliminate the spiciness from his stomach. School was eventually over, so McGee thought his troubles were behind him. In that sense, he was dead wrong. It was 30 minutes until prom. McGee was so excited that, once again, he thought he was going to shit his pants. He imagined beautiful Cassandra waiting for him in her tight red prom dress. The thought gave him an immense amount of joy, as well as making him more than a little aroused. McGee left to pick up Cassandra from her house. When he rang the doorbell, Cassandra and her father appeared. As he was walking this radiant beauty back to his car, he heard her father yell, "You better not do anything stupid to embarrass my little girl!" McGee agreed, and they proceeded to the prom. For a brief amount of time, it was a truly magical evening at that prom. They danced their pants off like it was no tomorrow. Finally, coming up was the slow dance to Coldplay's The Scientist. McGee held Cassandra in his arms, gazing into her stunning blue eyes that were crashing into his like waves upon a sandy beach. "Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry, you don't know how lovely you are." Night shift Chris Martin's smooth crooning could be heard above in the speakers. He wanted this moment to last forever. This was what his young life had been leading up to, and he felt complete. "Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part," the song continued. Just then, hanging from the rafters, that scoundrel, Bradley, was holding his father's fishing hook just above McGee. He hooked that poor boy's pink pinstripe pants and yanked, ripping them clean off. McGee hadn't changed his underwear and didn't realize there were remains of his jalapeno-induced crap from earlier. Cassandra saw the mess and let out a yell. "I could never love a man with poop in his pants!" McGee couldn't believe what he had just heard. Bradley Big Dome, on the other hand, was ecstatic. The athletic asshole started to chant, "Shit Stain McGee! Shit Stain McGee! Stinkier than you and stinkier than me!" Then the whole gymnasium joined in, including his darling Cassandra. "Shit Stain McGee! Shit Stain McGee! Stinkier than you, and stinkier than me." "My name's not Shitstain McGee!" cried Shitstain McGee. The chanting went on for an hour straight, with the only breaks being for water in order to keep all of their throats hydrated. They'd continue their despicable refrain. McGee left the school that night in utter despair. Images of everyone laughing while singing that ridiculously catchy song were running through his head. While sobbing, he thought of the girl he'd never hold again. Then he thought of Bradley, and his face lit up with rage. At that moment, something in Thomas Gurgy McGee had changed. He immediately sought out dark forces. One spirit in particular. An entity that he had read about in an old grimoire he found at an elderly old bag's yard sale. The thing was known as Mortimer Squiggly. On one fateful night, McGee conjured Mortimer out of the smoke in his fireplace. This vile monster appeared to Shitstain as not too abnormal. It came to him as a tall, young-looking man in a red button-down shirt with black dress pants. The tie was black as well, and had a red esoteric symbol on it.
"I require 2 such forms of offering from you,"
hissed Mortimer.
"First, burn an item that ignites the memories of suffering within you."
McGee torched the soiled underwear he had saved from that prom night.
"Now,"
Mortimer said while slyly grinning,
"if you give me your soul, I will bestow upon you the ability to lay waste to your enemies. Bradley Big Dome will be reduced to a puddle of piss, and that scatophobic former lover of yours will regret her departure from your bedsheets. You will be the smoke of their torment."
McGee shook the creature's hand immediately. McGee started to squeal in pain while Mortimer let out a wicked cackle. Fuck! The face of McGee evaporated like smoke, and his lifeless body came crashing to the ground. Squiggly journeyed back into hell while dragging McGee's body with him. Everyone thought that was the last they'd ever hear from old stinky shit-stained McGee. Not soon after, people said they started to see sightings of him everywhere. A couple of folks even went missing. They said they saw some cloudy figure in a pink pinstripe suit staring at them with ghostly eyes. Who else would be wearing that stupid pinstripe suit? It didn't help to disprove those claims when the information about 2 strange murder cases came out in the news. Bradley Big Dome II was found dead, with his head stuck in a toilet, and his father's fishing pole shoved up his bunghole. The handle of the toilet had been broken, so that it continued to flush, leaving the corpse stuck in a state of perpetual swirling. Of course, the next body to be found was that of Cassandra. Her decaying body had been found hanging from the ceiling in her house. The limbs had been chopped off and a pair of her underwear shoved in her mouth. Not to mention her father's tongue had been cut out while he slept and stapled to her face, covering her beautiful blue eyes. It all seemed like complete madness had taken over our community. But even still, I wasn't completely sold on Shit-Stained McGee being back from the dead. That is, until one occasion that changed my mind. I remember it vividly. It was a Friday, and I had just gotten off work. My wife didn't get off work for another hour, so I was on my way to pick up our son from my mother's house. It seemed like a normal evening until I got a call from my mom. I reached for the radio to turn off my beloved Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion so I could answer her. She was frantic.
"Oh, Petey, it's Zach. He's run off into the forest. Smelly, stinky, shit-stained McGee is gonna get him. Please hurry. Oh, heaven help us."
I assured her that it was only a myth. Still, I drove faster than ever before. When I got there, I pounced out of my car like a cat on crack and went sprinting into the dimly lit forest. About 200 feet in, I saw Zach hiding underneath a bush. "My mom wouldn't have even had to look that far. Good-for-nothing lazy bag of bones," I said aloud. All of a sudden, I heard a branch break off in the distance. I turned to see some shadowy figure. They were far away, but creeping closer. I picked up my son and started running back to the house, and while I was running, I heard footsteps behind me. They were getting louder and faster. As I was running, I heard footsteps behind me. They were getting louder and faster. I was almost to the house, but I was running out of breath. My son had definitely gained some weight. "She's probably been feeding him candy and chicken nuggets again, that fucking bitch!" I yelled with what little breath I had left. It sounded like it was coming right up behind me now. I opened the door to my house and fell to the floor, which caused my son to go flying into the air. I kicked the door shut. Everything then went silent. I creeped over to the window and peered out. That's when I saw it. Standing on the porch, just outside the door, was Shit-Stained McGee. He had on his pink pinstripe suit and a pink bowler hat. What caught me off guard was his face. Instead of a normal face, it was a cloud of black smoke, with 2 large vacant eyes appearing out of the smoke. It was as if the fires of hell had scorched the very soul out of his eyes. I almost shit my pants, but I held it in. I didn't want anyone, including my mother, to call me Shit-Stained Peter. As he was staring at me, I heard him say in a faint voice, "Shit-stain McGee. Shit-stain McGee. Stinkier than you, and stinkier than me." On that note, he faded into a blackened mist. That was the last time I ever saw Shit-stain McGee. I will never forget seeing that terrible thing, though. I will also never find humor in fart and poop jokes for as long as I live. Last I heard, though, there had been shit-stain sightings all over the country. The possible body count is about 895 at the moment. Let this be a lesson to never judge things based on how silly they may seem. Respect and fear the legend of Shit-stain McGee, or he may just make a shit stain out of you.